had our first meeting just a couple of days ago. You weren't there, right?
No.
But it's public. I mean, it was recorded, so people can go back and review that. But we mostly did just the first section on governance, which was very lengthy, which is a very important section. We have another meeting tomorrow.
And this is on the report, the Aquino Report.
Yeah, so we're taking it, what are there, 82 suggestions,
Okay.
recommendations, and so we're walking through the whole thing.
You do. And these are all public.
Let me know when
Yes.
the next one I can.
How many people attended
Okay.
the first one?
I really didn't see many people in the community, did you?
No.
The administrators
The
mostly.
administrators. Yeah.
There were about 9 people there, mostly cabinet, but not too many. I did see media there briefly for the first part of it.
What notifications are being made?
I think tomorrow
Well, they're all announced.
they're going to be taking suggestions.
I'm sure the press release went out.
But you should be able to, you should be able to with the board there, right? So, but on the webpage where you
Like
can
a
go
scrolling,
to the
like a
board,
rolling thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's agenda, there's what's scheduled. Usually when it's,
So something that captures attention better,
yeah.
like a scrolling thing. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I'm sure it's on the website. I know we did a press release, but not enough. We need to do more.
Yeah, that's one of the frequent complaints we have is that people don't hear about it, but it's...
I was trying to catch her because I know she was interested in the search process for the superintendent, number 2. So I believe that's a part of the agenda tomorrow, the public meeting. If persons did want to be able to speak to that, you might want to go to the website and see what the agenda is for the special meeting tomorrow. I think
I'm looking at the website, and where would you look for?
probably under board docs.
Yeah, there's a board thing.
Board of Education, resolutions, meeting schedule.
Well, calendar would be one place. Go to the calendar. It'll mention the special meeting. Is there not a press release under media, press release section?
I don't see calendar.
It would be under the calendar
District
for
calendar.
sure, and then media. I would hope that the press releases are gathered there. If not, I'll check it out. But I like the scrolling idea too.
So,
Is
besides
that a
the
policy meeting? 'Cause
No,
I don't see it
it's
on
a
the-
special.
No,
It's a special
I don't
meeting
see it on
called. Really? Okay. What about the app? RCSD, do you have the RCSD app? Everybody should have that. Let's see, today and Thursday. Special meeting, 6 o'clock. This is a really important thing that everybody should have, the RCSD app. Do you have that? You should have it.
I'm going to put that in the minutes.
Yes. RCSD app, you download it, and you can add whatever schools you wish. And, like I have 7 of my schools as a liaison. I add them into my app so I can see all of my school's activities in one place. And the public could do that, if you want to. The board meetings are automatically loaded onto this app. So you see the policy committee, ESA, finance, all of them are automatically. Then you can add specific schools on here. So yes, download the RCSD app.
That'll work on your phone or on
Yes,
your computer
RCSD
or what? Or
RCSD
it's
link.
for people who are using a phone.
Yes, because the idea is that most everybody has a phone, not everybody has a computer, right? So this is a really
that's
handy way to.
the other way out for me.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
I'd say most parents
Yeah,
have a phone,
I'm
but
sure.
not necessarily a computer. So, so this is great.
So what did you say
So-
about the meeting tomorrow?
So I believe that a part of the agenda is to discuss the search process. So you were saying in number 2 that I think you were writing an article or something to share your opinion of how the process to go. So I just wanted to let you guys know that you could come in person and speak.
And that's tomorrow at what time?
Evening. I believe it's on the agenda.
Yeah, I'll check with, I'll send a note to Aaron and Mercedes, Pia, let them know. They probably are aware of it, but yeah.
So
I'm going to be traveling tomorrow. I'm leaving to go visit my brother-in-law and then my daughter.
We didn't tell you could leave this.
I know. I sandwich things in between meetings.
I just want to get this.
You're looking for the
Attendance sheet?
attendance sheet.
Oh, over there. I got it.
Oh, sorry, have it.
Okay. Where did my... Yeah, if you have you seen this report that talks about it? Was back. It covers the fact that we've got kids that basically in the city you can always find a school that'll be within the mile and a half, but the study they did back then ended up finding that if you changed it to half a mile, your break even is having 25% of the kids pick their closest school, and if they pick their closest school, then you'd start saving money. And
so the other layer that's missing there is that not all students, just if there was busing and they could come, it wouldn't necessarily work for families to pick that closest school depending on what the needs of the children are. So it also has to do with programming, services, all of that kind of thing. So there's this whole need to get balanced services through all 3 of the zones so that families would select whatever the closest one was. And that's the piece that was not implemented when the managed choice policy was done, because there should have been a regular monitoring of the services needed throughout the 3 zones, and when that didn't happen, then families are like, well, I'd like to go here, but it doesn't have what I need for my child, so I'll go over here.
And we also have the grandfathering situation where parents move and their child started in school A and now they're across town, but they keep getting bused to school A, which has it's good in one way for the child that they have the ability to keep going to the same school, but it may not be the ideal.
If you talk about you want continuity for a kid, and you're focusing on the student. If they move, you don't want to hold that against them too much.
No.
Well, and so, we had talked about coordinating that with the city as well, so that if a family needs to move, there's discussion with folks in the city so that they would be able to stay within the neighborhood and be aware of housing options so that they didn't have to disrupt. So that's another thing we talked about.
Yeah, and Ralph Spezio, back when he was doing 17, that was one of the things he did back in the 90s was if a parent was being evicted and they needed to find another place, have the city work with the parents to try to find them some housing that's going to be convenient to the school. Definitely, if you get a chance to send a letter to the school board recommending that they look at making sure we have the committee, the Community Advisory Committee, which has been one of the things that Van had talked about, but it never was officially adopted, or has it been since then?
Community Advisory Committee.
He was talking about having at least each school board member pick 2 people from the community for an advisory
Was this
group.
for the superintendent?
Mhm,
That was
for the
an
superintendent
idea
search,
thrown out. I mean, usually the search committee will talk with the board and find out what we like and propose stuff. Generally search committees, search groups will definitely bring in a component for the community. It's a matter of like how you organize, what point in the process you bring the community in. But that was one thing he suggested, and there's a lot of ideas out there. But this idea that the board is not going to include the community, that's an unfortunate perception. I can't imagine us not bringing the community in. That would be crazy not to do. Of course we're going to bring the community in.
What's the likely order of things to be done here? Are you looking at contacting the committee and
There's an RFP.
setting criteria for the superintendent? Or?
Yeah, I mean, my guess it would be something like this, that, there's an RFP out for search groups to submit proposals, and then the board is going to sit down and select, probably interview a few of them and select one that we want to work with. And then their job is to, they want to build a they interview the board, and then they interview community members. They'll have different stakeholders like administrators, parents, students, different groups of folks who put in their opinion about what the profile should be of the superintendent. And then they sort of call that together and then put together a profile. And then they put together an advertisement for the superintendent, and then that goes out, and they start calling in applications from superintendents. So it's a pretty heavy-duty process, not something that individual board members can do. We're all working in our jobs, but we are very clear about what we would like to have happen, which is input from the community, and they interview board members to find out what worked, what didn't work in past superintendents, and put that into the profile. They present a profile to us and probably to the entire community, and then the advertisement goes out, and then folks bring in, submit their applications, and then there's sort of a vetting process. Then there's, in the process of looking for a new superintendent, many people are somewhere already, working somewhere, and if it's a very, very public thing, that discourages folks from applying, because they don't want their local community to know that they're going to maybe possibly jump and go somewhere else. So there is best practices is that there's a period of kind of closed where we narrow it down, and then maybe towards the end the finalists, and then maybe it opens back up again to the public, so the public gets an opportunity to interview. But so likely, and we haven't decided yet, and the board has to figure this out, there's going to be an open process with the community. What do you want in the superintendent's profile? They collect that, they bring it together, they present it, and then it gets closed as we vet the candidates, and then it gets opened again. So that's the likeliest way it will look. I can't guarantee that. I mean, there's going to be a lot of discussion on the board about how we do that, but that's my guess is how it's going to be.
And the original profiler is hired,
is compiled with the help of different groups. So generally a search group will identify different stakeholders, like teachers, like parents, like administrators, like board members, like business members, They collect all of that information to create the profile. Because they're not going to come in and say, well, we think you should have this kind of superintendent. They want to find out what the community wants and the different stakeholders. They compile that information. It's pretty, it's heavy duty work. They pull it together, narrow it down, and they present it to the board and the community. And then once we approve it, then they go into search mode. They put the advertisements out.
That's their business.
That's their business, right.
What's the search group? When you say that's their business, are you talking about a professional search?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's like headhunters, right? Headhunters for
Okay.
superintendent.
And how
But we're
are they
going to hire
deciding?
somebody.
How's that
They
person?
respond to an RFP.
Oh,
It's out right now.
and that's public.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's out right now. We're looking, and I
And the
think
search
that's.
committee would be public as well.
I forget the deadline, but we've had that RFP for such a headhunter group out for a while, maybe at least a few weeks, and it was a pretty quick turnaround. And then we're going to call those and then decide which search group we want to hire, which headhunters we want to hire. Ask them, interview them.
And they'll provide like a report of who they interviewed and what the input was?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's all very transparent.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean not to the public that part, because we don't want to out people who are looking for a job. You know
Oh
what I'm
no,
saying?
not that part. I was talking
The
about
profile part. That should
Yeah,
be
how did the
yes.
profile become the profile?
Yes. So likeliest it'll be information gathered from various stakeholder groups. Business community, administrators, teachers, parents, religious group, board members. There's going to be a collection of a lot of information, and then they call it together and create a profile. Make sure the board is happy with that, and then they put out the advertisement for applicants. And then it probably goes underground a little bit while we call that together, and then it goes back out into the public towards the end. That's the likeliest thing that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Now, right now, current superintendent's going to be there through the end of January, is it?
Yes.
And then, what?
And we have an interim.
You have an interim picked yet, or not?
Yes, we do. I'm not sure it's been announced yet, but
Mhm.
we do. We have an interim, and that'll be announced very soon. Because the search process takes about 4 or 5 months.
Mhm.
And so she'll be leaving before we get a new superintendent.
Mhm.
That's why we had to do an interim. But we've already got an interim who's agreed. And
Are we
I guess-
going to freak out or are we going to like them?
I think you'll like him.
I think the difference, the coalition that I shared I'm working with is of the same mind of having a community advisory committee, but it's a little different than the process that was outlined. The community persons would be a part of the process from the beginning. So they would be at the decision-making table. Other persons wouldn't be making decisions about who will be listed that people can choose from. The community would be at the table also vetting the persons, but they would be held to confidence just as such as the board. So there wouldn't be any outing of persons to the public. But it's having community persons together with the board from the beginning, meeting and deciding should we even enter an RFP process in light of our financial situation. And so I think that's the difference. It's not whether the public will be a part of the process.
When.
We understand they'll be a part of the process. The question is when will they enter? And we're saying that in light of the decisions the board has made over decades, that why not have the community be a part of this decision-making process and be there from the beginning. So we're not talking about whether the community is a part, it's about when does the community begin and who's going to be at the table of decision.
Well, we'll definitely have to have a discussion about it. There's a difference of opinion, but just speaking for myself, I know that one of the biggest concerns is the larger that vetting group gets, like beyond a board, the harder it is to keep things confidential. So there is meaningfulness in having a smaller
Okay.
group.
Thank you.
confidentiality is very important in superintendent search.
Yeah, a couple of things I think you should look at. I was thinking about that today. Is you want somebody who actually is managed in an organization that has different styles, or at least been in there at a high enough level to understand how to do it. Should also be an educator. So it shouldn't be a business. I wouldn't put a business person in there. I'd put it. You need an educator.
As far as the search group?
No.
The superintendent, you're saying your wishes for the profile.
Okay.
So what do you want in that? And to be relatively young as opposed to relatively old. Since you want some time. I mean, you're talking about Peter
Walters, huh?
yeah, and he would have been around for like 20 years.
Yeah.
But when you've got somebody with a really short runway, it's like they could do a really great job,
Yeah.
but
I hear what you're saying, but just as a little bit of feedback there, I know that this is a complicated district, so I would probably want someone who's quite experienced, and an educator for sure. This is just what I'd like to see. And one of my worries is it could be countered by just an amazing candidate, but one of my worries about a younger person is that it's early enough in their career that they might want to ladder somewhere else, and whereas a person towards the end is A, experienced, and B, hopefully is not looking to jump around with their career. So that's a really worthwhile discussion.
I just say for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, who are relatively old, like probably 60,
Yeah.
and none of those worked out particularly well.
And that, I'm not sure those are due to,
I'm not sure that's.
I'm not sure it was due to
age,
their
as much as
career
the dynamic
and to
of
jump.
what things also happening in the community to be supportive.
It was
of the
community
position
stuff
as well.
and board stuff that I think influenced that. So my sense is that, on record, the board really needs to pull together and work as a team, so that, and commit to working as a team with the superintendent that we select, so that they are happy and they want to stay, and we have a fruitful relationship. That's key. That's key.
You said educator, young, what else?
Having experience in an organization with mitigate those.
And those are important things to bring up in the interview process too.
Yeah.
With the candidates. This is what happened. This is what we need.
What would you have
What
done
would
about
you
it?
have done here?
So profiles include the questions that will be asked? Or no, probably not.
Probably not. But we would develop the questions.
Would the public be able to hear what the questions are?
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Let me write that down. I mean, we did develop a set of questions with the last interview process that we were consistently using with the candidates. And so you think the public would like to?
I think that would be a great
Okay.
idea, because then you might pick up on something that you're missing, that somebody else
Yeah, I
says,
like
hey,
that.
well, what about this? You know.
Addressing
that
the
idea.
concerns too.
Yeah, that's great. And then you're curious anyway, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Well, what do we ask
right.
the candidates?